meetings. This is just at the end of our retrospective, and the question was asked to me of when would we use bubble sorting and when would we use this grid of 6, or I've been calling the Adkins 6. So just to give you an overview of both, bubble sorting we're used to, where the group gets together and groups things like this, and then we dot vote which one we want to talk about. This is how we ran our retrospective yesterday. This technique, the Adkins 6, I learned this when I went on the Agile Facilitators course 5 years ago now, with Lisa Adkins and Michael Spade. And I called it Adkins 6, but you can't Google that, you won't hear it anyway. And the question, I just come into this room now, and the question was, when would you use one or use the other? Bubble sorting is really good when you've got a group like this, and you all want to come up together and collaborate and collectively group things together, and you can all lean over each other and put things like this. Then at the end, to decide what you're talking about, you've done the dot voting here, so this one was 6, was obviously spoken about first. On the other hand, the Adkins 6 is really useful if you're the facilitator and you've got the divergence of data. So the model we've got is the starting point, we want divergent data with lots of ideas, different ways of brainstorming, and then we want to converge it down to a few groups of ideas that we can then deep dive into. So generate ideas and then create decisions. This is a great matrix to bring it down to 6 things, because 6 things we can go away and remember 6 different things we've talked about. So the way I remember Lisa doing this is we were in the training course, there was about 20 of us there, with 4 groups of 5 people. And we spent a few minutes silent brainstorming. Then on our tables, we grouped it, we discussed what we'd raised, and Lisa asked us, give me your top 3 items that you want to cover. And I think the question she asked was, what do you want to get out of this course? So we had our top 3 things, and then she went around each table. So if there was 5 people on each table and each person had 3 items, 60 tickets. 60 tickets is far too much for us to group. So one quick way to group it down to less than 60 is 3 per table. Now we're down to 12. Now those 12 tickets, how can we group them into these different groups here? So what Lisa did, she went around each table and said, what have you got? And some people said, well, I want to learn about running meetings, and somebody else said, oh, I want to learn about dysfunction. And she would just bring them up and she would say, so you got meetings, you got dysfunction. Then the next person would say, I want to talk about people's styles, different like disc profiling and different interactions. She'll go, okay. So that's a bit like confrontation, isn't it? So we go, yeah. Then somebody else would say, I want to know how to do the power start. I'm making it up now. She'd go, so that sounds like meetings. So can we call this meetings and this people? And you continue, and you can either merge some together or split some out, and you end up, without even her telling you, and this is the trick she showed you, she doesn't explain the process, she just does the process, just by asking the questions. And before you know it, you fill them all up. And then one person may say something else, and she doesn't have to say, sorry, you're limited to 6. She says, well, where can we put this? And maybe we can merge or blend. So this is a way of converging ideas into a group of 6. This is also a way of merging ideas. The difference is I would use this with one facilitator with a group of people, and you can do it with one team of 6. This is where I'd get lots of people climbing up onto the whiteboard. In terms of timing in meeting design, if you've been going for a while and the energy levels are dropping down, and if you remember yesterday we've been going half an hour when we got to this, it's good to get everyone up because heart rates lift and we're all a bit energetic. This is good to begin with because it's fast paced and you can have a conversation and generate it. I don't know if there's pros and cons between the two, but naturally that's the way I would blend it and split it. So that was, by the way, Agile Nudge number 2, and we're 4 minutes, so under the 5-minute time box. And I don't believe I just gave 2 fingers to the screen.